What's up, Math 8? So, Unit 1 is officially starting. This is your first notes, video, whatever you want to call it, for Unit 1. Unit 1 is called Number Sense. We kind of talked about how we go through the Level 2 first, and then the Level 3. If you watched my intro video, hopefully you did. It'll make a little bit more sense. But the first thing we're going to start with, Number Sense Unit 1, converting fractions and decimals. So let's get started. So, first, fractions to decimals. Okay? Sometimes you remember some of these. You look at 3 over 10, you might know what that means. You might even know what 5 over 8 is. It's a little bit more difficult, okay? But the easiest way to do this is simply long division. Now, it's not going to be too long of division. The most you'll ever get is 3 decimal places, and they're not going to be huge numbers. I'm not going to make you divide 37 by 61, something like that. You notice these are pretty small numbers. So, when we look at A, long division, some people talk about which number goes in the house, da, da, da. Well, it's 10 going into 3, so that means 10's on the outside. So 10 going into 3. I know you just look. Well, does 10 go into 3? No, it doesn't. So we put a 0, add your decimal. Okay? There's no more decimal. There's no more space here, so we gotta add the decimal, add your 0 on both spots. Okay, 0 decimal, decimal 0. And then, how many times does 10 go into 30? Well, it goes in 3 times. We multiply and subtract, and we get a 0. That's our answer. Ta-da, done. 3 over 10 turns into 0.3. Now, some people might have known that, because if you look at 3 over 10, it's 3 tenths. You should know that that means that 3 is going to be in the tenths place. One kind of rule. If it's something divided by 10, that number's in the tenths place. If it's something divided by 100, so let's say I had, I don't know, 9 over 100, that means that 9 is going to be in the hundreds place, so you put 0.09. Okay, it's just one little trick. Moving on to B. A little bit more difficult. If you want to try it on your own, pause the video quick, restart it when you're done. But 8 going into 5. So 8 going into 5. We ask ourselves the same question. Does 8 go into 5? Well, no, it doesn't. So we got to add our 0 and our decimal. Okay, then we go 8 going into 50. How many times does 8 go into 50? Well, it goes in 6 times. I multiply and subtract. 6 times 8 gives me 48. Subtract, I get a 2. I bring down the 0. Ask yourself again, how many times does 8 go into 20? Well, it goes in 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract, we get 4. Again, bringing down to 0. And then how many times does 8 go into 40? Well, it goes in 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. We subtract, and that is our answer. 0.625. This is going to be one of the more difficult ones because it has 3 decimal places. It just requires a little bit more work. You'll notice there's kind of a pattern to a lot of fractions. This one has a pattern. It's not as easy to remember. Some patterns you might know, like 1/2 is 0.5. 1/4 is 0.25, 3/4 is 0.75. Okay, there's always patterns to decimals. Moving on to the next example. So here we are. Now, decimals to fractions. There's 2 types of decimals. Well, actually, there's 3 types, but you don't even know a third yet. There's 2 types. We either have terminating decimals or repeating decimals. A terminating decimal is simply a decimal that stops. Okay, 0.4, it's done. There's no more numbers. 0.25, it stops. It's done. There's no more numbers. Okay. Over here it's repeating. You can see the little line above the 3 and the 5. That just means this is really 0.333 on forever. It's always going to be a 3 next. So we just put it as repeating. We don't need to write that out. Same thing here, 0.555. They repeat. Okay, we treat these slightly differently. Okay, if you recall the last example, I said the whole 3 over 10 is 3 tenths. We're just going backwards now. Okay, this is 0.4. So the 4 is in what decimal place? It's in the tenths place, so we're going to put that 4 over 10. If it was in the hundreds place, we'd put it over 100. So 4 over 10. Now, sometimes that could be all you have to do. That's the answer. But here we can see we can reduce this. So I need to divide both the top and bottom by a 2, and we'll get 2 over 5. And that is my final answer. It's a reduced fraction. You always need to reduce your fractions. Okay, if you wanted to check your work, you could do long division, and you realize you get 0.4. And again, okay, pause the video if you want. Otherwise, here we go. decimal place, 0.25, it's in the hundreds decimal place. So I'm gonna take 25 over 100. It's the same thing. It's in the hundredths place, put it in the hundredths place. Can you reduce? Yes, we can. If we divide both the top and bottom by a 25, a lot of people would see this, we get 1 over 4. And there's my answer. Problem done. That's all there is to it. It's not too many steps. You just gotta realize what the steps are and do the math behind it. Moving on to B, repeating decimals. Very similar to terminating, okay? Level 2 is only one repeating number. You notice this is not like 0.31 repeating. It's just 3 repeating, that's it, okay? What we're gonna do, anytime there's one number repeating, we divide by 1/9. I could go on for like 10 minutes and explain why, but you don't need to know that yet. So 3 over 9, and then we just reduce it. Divide each by 3, and I have 1 over 3 as my answer. Problem solved. That's it, done. Pause the video if you want, otherwise here we go. One number repeating, divide by 1/9, so I have 5 divided by 9. Can I reduce it? No, I can't, so that is my answer. Problem solved. If you can't reduce it, you're done. Okay, that's the answer. This is the first part of number sense. Converting fractions to decimals, you're gonna have to do it a lot during the end of the year, so you better get used to it. You're gonna realize that fractions are a lot more your friends than your enemy. You're gonna need this a lot. Otherwise, that's it for today. Have a good day. I'll see you next time.